Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and welcome to Stock Market Weekly Recap number 13 ever in history, guys. We're recapping the April 14th, 2017 week. It was a stock market shortened week because Friday was Good Friday. So anybody that's celebrating Easter out there, happy Easter to you guys. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the markets, take a look at some stocks that went up and down the most. We're going to look at some of the biggest news stories, which we got a few really big ones, one in particular, and then we got earnings coming for next week, and we got to look at some of the things that we got coming up this next week, guys. So let's get into this. Dow Jones this week went down almost 1%, not a good week. The NASDAQ went down just over 1%, and then we had the S&P 500 down 1.2%. Not a bad, not like it was a bad week. If every week was like this, it would be a stock market crash, right? But it wasn't like an awful week. The reason I think it was a bad week this week was mainly because actually earnings were good this week, and we'll go over some of those. But the reason being is we got a lot of geopolitical things out there that are happening. We got a war that's about to break out, in my opinion, very soon here. And we got several other things going on, like a bombing in Afghanistan, a lot of other stuff, guys, that we'll kind of talk a little bit about in this video. So one of the stocks that went up the most this week, Maui Land and Pineapple Company. This stock went up over 11% this week. This stock's up 91% year to date. 91%. Can you guys believe that? We're only, what, three and a half months into the year, this stock's up 91%. It just proves that you can find stocks in random places and they can be winners. This company's involved with, like, some resorts in Maui, like utilities, like some agricultural stuff, like random businesses in Maui, Hawaii, but up on over 91% so far this year. Next one up, GNC. They went up over 7% so far. Now their stock is down about 34% year to date. That company's in a very tough space. They do some wholesale business, but they're mostly a retailer, mostly in malls, and we know anything that's pretty much related to being in a mall is pretty much down right now, guys. Like 90% of them. It's not a good time to be any type of retailer in general, especially not a mall retailer. Eastman Kodak went down over 15%, almost 16% this week. I had no clue they were even still a public company, honestly. Eastman Kodak, are you kidding me? I guess they are. And then AK Steel went down about 10% this week. All the steel stocks kind of got hurt because basically, there was some type of ruling that was supposed to come out of the Department of Commerce that basically would say, there would be a bigger taxation on illegal dumping and things like that. That ended up not going through, so many of the steel stocks got hurt, and many, especially the United States related steel stocks. So I don't know where that industry is going in the long term. All I know is those stocks are in the dumpers right now. Now, let's look at some of the biggest news stories. The biggest news story of them all that caught my eyes this week was on Monday, U.S. trucking company Knight Transportation and Swift Transportation said they agreed to merge in an all-stock deal that gives the combined company an enterprise value of $6 billion. The company will be named Knight Swift Transportation, have $5 billion annual revenues. Both the companies are out of Phoenix, Arizona, my original hometown I grew up and was raised in. So basically, and the deal has been blessed by Jerry Moyles, who started Swift, and he's the controlling shareholder. So basically, the quick story real quick about that Jerry Moyles. Growing up as a kid, my dad always had a pool business, still does, and we did this pool that was right next to that guy's house, and he lived in this ridiculous mansion. I always remember my dad, we'd drive, because we always had to drive around this guy's house, the one that started Swift Transportation. Always go, that's the Swift house right there, and I would look, I was like, whoa. And then I was probably like 8 years old, and I was like, what stock ticker symbol is that, Daddy? I need to make some money. So anyways, so this deal is interesting because it's going to put retailers, they're mainly into moving stuff around as far as retailers go. This could end up hurting a lot of retailers even more. The retailers are being hurt left and right now, mainly from Amazon, right? But now with these two companies combined, that's going to probably even push up. They say they're doing it for synergies, and I agree they're probably doing that for that. But honestly, they're probably doing it to raise prices on a lot of these retailers, which Walmart is one of the biggest retailers that deals with these companies, right? So what they're going to end up doing is they're going to be in a position of power now, because instead of competing with each other for these contracts, say, they have to compete and have to go way down in price to try to beat the other one out. Now they're together. And now they can go up and go a higher price, because this is not type of business that there's just tons and tons of companies out there that have the infrastructure to be able to have a Walmart or have a big food store or something like that and move all those goods around, guys. This is not like, a dime a dozen business where a big retailer can say, okay, you guys are charging too much, we'll just go over here. This is a hard business, to build up, as far as it takes hundreds of millions of dollars to buy up all those trucks, buy up all those trailers and whatnot. It takes years and years of investment. So just another bad thing for retail in general right now, in my opinion. That's kind of the way I viewed it. And we'll see if big mergers kind of come in style now. This is a big merger. It's one of the bigger I've seen in quite a while, guys. And if you read my book, you know my feeling on mergers. So we won't even get into that. Now, the other biggest story that caught my eyes this week is North Korea warned the United States on Saturday to end its military hysteria or face retaliation as a U.S. aircraft carrier group steamed toward the region. And the reclusive state marked the 105th birth anniversary of its founder. Concern has grown over the U.S. Navy has fired 59 Tomahawk missiles in Syria. We talked about that last week. Basically, blah, 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 blah. The North warning carried by its news agency came out as Kim Jong-un arrived in Pyongyang, main, whatever you call it, square, named after his grandfather, for a military parade marking the day of Sun, the birth of the anniversary state. Basically, what's going on over there is, in my opinion, there's about an 80% chance right now there's going to be a full-scale war in North Korea. About a 20% chance there's not going to be. It's going to be hundreds of thousands of people dead in this whole deal. There's a good chance it's going to happen, because I see the way the United States' actions are moving, and how many aircraft carriers and how many ships we have over there right now, it's quite startling. And I'm looking at a situation where United States is almost almost like begging North Korea to do something, as far as fire a missile at us, do something, like fire something at one of our ships, do a nuclear test. The United States has already come out, said there's supposed to be a big event plan that North Korea has where they're supposed to maybe launch off a nuclear missile to test. United States has said if they do that, the United States is probably going to get involved, and they probably will strike North Korea first. So we're looking at a situation where Kim Jong-un, the guy over there, I don't think he really wants to back down. I think he's a little whack job in the head, and he's gonna get his country taken over. So I don't know if this will affect the markets very much, and it's very possible that he will back down. It's very possible, Kim Jong-un will back down, and he'll just stop all the stuff he's doing, which they're not supposed to be nuclear. They're not supposed to be making anything nuclear bomb related, and there still are. They have photos of that. You guys can go on and view those online if you want. They're not supposed to be testing missiles and firing missiles and some of those kinds of things. They're doing that. So they're doing things they're not supposed to be doing. They're not supposed to be allowed to be doing. And that has the United States worried, and anybody in South Korea worried. This Kim Jong-un consistently makes threats, either directly or indirectly, against the United States, against South Korea. It's like a reoccurring theme. And he might just be a bully that's about to be put in his place. Unless he backs down. If he doesn't back down, his country will be taken over in a very short amount of time. So we'll see. I think there's about an 80% chance of a full-scale war over there, about a 20% chance, and it's all going to be dependent on his actions over the coming couple months here, guys. So that's something to look out for. Don't know if that would be something that really would cause the markets to go out of whack, to be honest. I don't think it would, but you never really know with these things. It would depend on if other countries got involved, which I don't think no one's going to come to aid North Korea. China is their only main, somewhat partner, and China doesn't agree with a lot of the stuff North Korea is doing, and China's totally on the side of the United States. Like, the United States and China were like this in bed. Like, if the United States got asked a question, privately, if you had to just keep one country in the world and all the others didn't exist, which one would it be? It would be China. And the same thing China would say about the United States if it was in secret, because honestly, we're so intertwined with each other that we're so economically relying on each other. It's quite amazing, guys. If you really look at the debt that's held between the two countries and things like that, guys, it's like this. I mean, if one was to falter, the other would falter big time. We're very reliant upon each other. So that's the only way it could really affect the markets in a big negative way is if other countries got involved. And as far as against the United States, I don't see that happening. I think everybody's on the side of the United States. And I think everybody deep down inside wants this guy taken out, the leader over there, and wants that whole communist little system they got going on over there to be taken out. I mean, you can't even do Western interviewers really aren't even allowed in there. When they are, they have to be followed. You can watch documentaries on YouTube and whatnot. They have to be followed by literally North Korean like guards and whatnot, and they're not just like allowed to talk to a random person or something. They have to be like scripted. Like it's such bad propaganda over there. It's so bad, guys. So anyways, we'll see what happens with all that. That's my take on it. As far as earnings this week happened, JP Morgan Chase came out, great earnings. Look at these numbers they reported. EPS of $1.65 versus $1.52 were expected. Revenue of $25.5 billion when only $24.8 billion was expected. Trading revenues of $6.5 billion versus $5.5 billion expected. JP Morgan absolutely nailed numbers, just absolutely knocked it out of the ballpark. And I mean, I was looking at their numbers and I was blown away. Amazing numbers at JP Morgan. They're my second, I mean, I would never probably invest in a bank, but my favorite's probably Goldman Sachs if I was an investment bank. And then number two, JP Morgan. They're my second favorite, but I would never personally invest in them. But I'm just saying like such a well-run company, absolutely amazing. Then we had Citigroup come out. Citi reported some great numbers here. Trading revenues, $4.4 billion, that's 17% up year over year. Provision for credit losses, $1.7 billion, that's down 19% year over year, and that's a great thing when that number's down because that means your losses you're taking. Net interest margin up 18 basis points. Net income $4.1 billion, up 17% year over year. Great numbers out of Citigroup. So two of the biggest banks, great numbers this week. Wells Fargo was last. They were the ones that kind of came in with a little disappointment. They beat on revenue, they beat on EPS just a bit. They reported $1 versus 97 cents expected. Revenue of $22 billion versus $22.3 billion were expected. So they missed on revenue, beat on EPS a bit. They were kind of the weakest one of the bunch, but still their earnings were okay. They just weren't outstanding like JP Morgan's were. They just weren't outstanding like Citigroup's were. So earnings season's off to a pretty strong start, and this earnings season's expected to be pretty strong. So should be a pretty strong earnings season we're going into here, guys. Another story that caught my eyes is Snapchat's going to report their first ever earnings call on May 10th. That should be very interesting. I will definitely be paying attention to that one, although I'm not investing in it. It's definitely a company I'm tracking. I think they have a phenomenal long-term story. I think they're going to blow numbers out of the water when they report. We'll see, but I'm definitely going to be paying attention to that one. That's one I actively track on Stock Tracker almost every day. I kind of look at its price and just kind of track it. I'm interested in it. I'm not invested in it, but I'm interested in it. As far as next week, we got Goldman Sachs reporting numbers, and we have Netflix reporting numbers, and that's about it. Not a big week ahead as far as things go. The week ahead, I'll actually be more paying attention to actually what happens in North Korea. Is some of the tension come down there, or is it even more of a build-up from there, which I think tensions are already a lot. So that's actually the thing I'll probably be keeping my eyes on going into this next week. Is something I'm checking a lot. And I don't usually pay attention to these kinds of things, but when I feel like it's something that's more than likely going to happen, I have to pay attention to it because it's something important. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great weekend. If you just came across this channel, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance on the channel. We talk entrepreneurship. We also talk the stock market more than anything on this channel, including this series every single Saturday. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.